He did not just hurt you, he made you search yourself for the reason. And that was the trap. Not only that he pulled back, went cold, stayed vague, or made you feel the shift without ever naming it. It was that his distance left you alone with a question that started eating through everything. What did I do? And once that question got inside you, your mind went to work. You replayed the conversation, your tone, your needs, the message you sent, the one you almost sent. The moment you asked for more and saw his energy change, you stared at your phone and tried to find the exact place where you became too much, too emotional, too hard to love, because blaming yourself gave you something painful but useful. It gave you a problem you could still solve. If it was you, then maybe you could fix it. Maybe you could be softer next time, less direct, less affected, less honest about what hurt. So you didn't only carry the pain of being unmet, you carried the job of explaining why. That's why you stayed in your head for so long. Not because the truth was unclear, because the truth felt worse than self-blame. Self-blame said there was still a chance. It said love had not failed. You had. And that felt easier to hold than this simpler truth. He was willing to let you carry confusion that belonged to him. You felt it in small moments first. The way you rewrote a text so it sounded lighter. The way you swallowed a question because you could already feel the space opening between you. The way one dry reply could ruin your whole evening. And still, you told yourself not to be dramatic. Your mind was not trying to punish you. It was trying to save you. Because if you could find the mistake, maybe the pain would stop feeling this helpless. But the cost started early. You became responsible for the distance. You started treating his lack of care like a puzzle your love should be able to solve. And that is how a woman with a good heart ends up standing in front of someone else's failure to meet her, asking what she did wrong. You were not looking for what you did wrong because the answer was there. You were looking because hope was still alive. As long as you could still believe there was something to correct, you did not have to face the heavier truth that he could see your care, feel your effort, watch you adjusting, and still not meet you. So your hope became very quiet. It was not loud fantasy. It was smaller than that. It sounded like, maybe next time I say it better. Maybe I came on too strong. Maybe he pulled away because I asked at the wrong moment. Maybe if I stop pressing, he'll come forward on his own. That is why staying made sense to you then. You were not trying to be blind. You were trying to keep the connection repairable. You kept returning to the moments that made you believe he was reachable. The warmer conversation, the softer look, the brief honesty. The little stretch of time when he seemed open enough to make you wonder if maybe you had just handled him wrong. Those moments kept resetting everything. They made his distance feel temporary instead of telling. They made his inconsistency feel like confusion, not a pattern. So your mind protected the version of him that left room for hope. Not because you were foolish, because that version hurt less to hold. You remembered the tenderness more than the aftermath. You held on to the almost more than the ache. You told yourself he cared in his own way, because the alternative meant admitting you were carrying emotional weight he kept setting down. And that is the contradiction that kept you stuck. The more pain you felt, the more urgently you looked for a way to make the story gentler. You checked his tone for signs that things were getting better. You felt relief from one decent message. You called that relief progress. You let one good moment explain away 5 painful ones. Your mind was trying to turn inconsistency into something meaningful. Because if it meant something, then maybe it was still leading somewhere. But hope like that has a cost. It keeps you loyal to possibility, while reality keeps wearing you down. And little by little, you stopped asking whether he was truly showing up. You started asking how to make it easier for him too. The cost was not only that he gave less. The cost was that you slowly started reorganizing yourself around that lack. You got careful with your tone, careful with your timing, careful with how much truth you showed at once. You would type the real message first, then soften it, then cut it down, then remove the part that sounded too hurt, too needy, too human. You were not speaking from your full voice anymore. You were speaking from the version of you most likely to keep him from pulling away. And that changes a woman. You checked your phone, then hated yourself for caring that much. You felt your chest tighten before opening his reply. You learned how to read the mood of one sentence. You started feeling grateful for basic decency because inconsistency had lowered the bar that far. That is what this kind of pain does. It does not only disappoint you, it trains you. It trains you to call silence space, to call crumbs effort, to call your confusion sensitivity, to call your need for clarity pressure. Your mind kept doing the same thing over and over. It kept searching for the better version of you that might finally make this feel safe. Because if your pain was coming from something you were doing wrong, then changing yourself still looked like a path back to peace. But it was not peace. It was self-abandonment made to look like patience. That is the contradiction. You were trying to protect the connection, but the person disappearing inside it was you. You asked for less before he had to refuse. You explained him to yourself before he had to explain himself to you. You carried the emotional weight so completely that he could stay vague while you became exhausted. And the deepest cost was not even the waiting. It was the way his lack of care slowly became the way you started seeing yourself. You started wondering whether you were hard to love, whether your timing was wrong, whether your needs were too sharp, whether wanting consistency was already asking for too much. By then, the pain was no longer only about him. It was about what staying there was teaching you to believe about yourself. The shift did not happen when you finally understood him. It happened when you got tired of being the place the blame kept landing. Not tired of loving, not tired of hoping, tired of what hope kept asking you to do to yourself. Because at some point, you saw it. Every time he went distant, your mind rushed in and made a case against you. Every time he failed to show care, you opened an investigation into your tone, your timing, your needs, your worth. He could stay unclear, and still you were the one standing there trying to produce the explanation. That was the quiet line. You stopped asking, "What did I do?" and started asking, "Why am I still carrying what he keeps leaving in my hands?" That question changes everything. Because now you stop looking at his confusion and start looking at what it cost you. The way your body had learned to brace before every reply. The way you had started editing yourself before anyone even asked you to. The way you kept making room for his distance by stepping further away from your own truth. You did not need one dramatic ending to see it clearly. Sometimes it was smaller than that. A delayed message, a flat answer, that familiar drop in your stomach, and then the old instinct rising again to make it your fault. But this time, you paused. You saw your mind reaching for the same job. Fix it. Explain it. Soften yourself. Find the mistake. And for the first time, you did not follow it. That is the limit. Not that you stopped caring overnight. That you stopped cooperating with the story, that your pain must always mean you did something wrong. You let his behavior belong to him, his distance, his inconsistency, his lack of care. You stopped turning those things into evidence against yourself. And that is a quiet kind of dignity. When you no longer need to make him cruel to stop making yourself guilty. When you no longer need perfect proof to stop crossing yourself just to keep the connection alive. When you stop looking for what you did wrong, you do not lose love. You lose a burden that was never yours to carry. And that is where something in you begins to return. Not all at once. Not like a performance. More like breath coming back into a room that has been closed too long. You stop waking up with the weight of unfinished blame. You stop reaching for your phone like your peace is hiding in someone else's tone. You stop needing one more reply, one more explanation, one more softer version of the truth to help you survive what already happened. Because now you can see it clearly. You were never asking for too much. You were asking the wrong person to carry what love requires. And once that lands, your energy changes. Your voice comes back first. Not louder, just cleaner. You stop editing your pain into something easier to ignore. You stop calling hurt confusion. You stop shrinking honest needs into small, careful sentences that barely sound like you. Then your steadiness comes back. You notice how quiet your mind becomes when it is no longer spending all day building a case against you. You notice how much softer life feels when you are not measuring your worth against someone else's inconsistency. You notice that peace was never far away. It was just buried under all the responsibility you kept taking for his absence. And maybe the most beautiful part is this: you do not become colder. You do not become harder. You do not have to turn love into suspicion. You just stop placing your heart where it has to defend itself to be kept. That is the return. Your warmth stays, your softness stays, but now they belong with your clarity. Now they stand beside your dignity. Now they protect you too. So the question is no longer, what did I do wrong? It becomes something quieter, something truer. Why did I keep standing trial for someone else's failure to love me well? And once you can ask that, you are already leaving the trial. You are already coming back to your own life with more breath, more truth, and more of yourself still intact than you thought.